In this video, I'm going to be talking about an aspect that Mercury is currently making with Saturn, and that is a square. And so Mercury squares Saturn. Squares in astrology are not easy. They represent two planets coming together and forming conflict. There's resistance with the two planets coming together. They're fighting each other. But because of that tension, because of that discomfort, something has to change. And squares are all about making changes and becoming better, of learning very hard lessons and growing in that process. So, Mercury is the messenger in astrology. It's really one of the most fastest moving planets. It's actually the fastest moving planet. Now, the moon is actually the fastest moving, it's a luminary. It moves through a sign in 2 to 3 days. But Mercury spends about, I'd say, 22 days or a little bit of time in a sign. It just goes around the sign. It's very busy. It's very energetic. That's Mercury. And so it's the planet of communication. It's the planet of learning new information. It's ideas, thoughts. It also governs technology and, sort of messaging systems, computers. That's why it's so famous that when Mercury goes retrograde, we have the snafus, and it's more sort of infamous that we are more tuned to when things go off in terms of communication and messaging. And Mercury retrograde is really known for that. So it deals with ideas, new information, networking, collaboration, our social connections. And really it shows how we process the information that we're learning, how we are going throughout our day and our environment and taking in all the information, then how are we, speaking to it? How do we respond when we're in a conversation? Could be also related to movement. It's very busy, and it deals really, Mercury is, especially in Gemini, which we're going to talk about, really deals a lot with curiosity. So, Mercury in Gemini is at home in the sign of Gemini. And so Mercury, it has an affinity in the signs considered domicile in the sign of Gemini. It rules the sign. So it's very quick and very chatty, and it's a very busy, scattered energy. Let's go over here, let's go over there. It has, Gemini is about multiple ideas, multiple things going on, and it's a constant need to be fed, to learn new information. When Mercury is in Gemini, we want to be constantly learning. We want to be constantly stimulated. So a lot of ideas, and sort of, trying this and trying that, not really committing to, anything in particular, because it's a mutable sign and wants change. So it's a very social placement and transit. We're finding ourselves more social, and our communication, it could be sharper. It's more exciting. It's really exciting and lively in nature. So that's a little bit about Mercury and Gemini. And so now we're talking about Saturn. That's the planet of restrictions, limitations. It looks at the boundary, the extent to how far that we can go. Before Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto was discovered, Saturn was the limit. So it represents, it also deals with the patriarchy or father-like figure. That it deals with authority figures. It can also correspond to our internal authority or our inner authority, but it also rules over governments and institutions. So it rules over authority figures that, while it feels like they limit or restrict us, they want us to become better. They want us to grow to be the best person that we want to be. They want us to strive for something greater, and something better for us. And Saturn really demands the hard work. It's about acknowledging that these are the hard lessons, and now it is your job to face them. It is sort of learning and putting in the hard work, learning those hard lessons through that hard work that you have to do, but then gaining wisdom through the process, and really facing the reality, seeing things as they are, acknowledging things as they are, not as you want them to be. So Mercury squaring Saturn. So this is great for any kind of hard work, especially where you need to put your nose to the grindstone and commit to something. But because it's a square, it could indicate difficulty with committing to something and focusing and getting it done. But at best, this sort of stimulates good judgment. We have it where we can see things very objectively, very logically, and as they are. And we can make decisions based off of that judgment, based off of seeing the good and the bad of something, seeing the multiple sides. So commitment and discipline to our goals, where we can focus and we can do something if we put our mind to it, basically, and persist and not give up. But we can also fall into pessimism with this particular aspect. It can relate to pessimism, just seeing things very negatively, being very caught in the negative outcomes of situations and the downsides, instead of the potentials, instead of the possibilities, instead of the positive things, instead of what there is to feel good about, of what there is to, the silver linings to things. And how can we improve things, basically? So that's opposite the pessimism, which may be a quality that may be in the air at this time. So, the other thing it relates to is, although it's not a relationship aspect, it does relate to a feeling of separation and isolation in your relationships. This is a time where we can have any issues or any problems that are about our goals, our responsibilities, commitments, all these kind of things. We can address those issues and fix them and change them and take action and work to better them. So this could be separation in relationships, where you feel like the partner, you don't feel as connected, bonded, emotionally connected to them as you want to, and you want more emotional connections. And so, that could be something with this. So, or you may feel like you're not giving enough in relationships, because Saturn is very sort of cold, very detached, and very hard. It's a difficult, tough love kind of energy. It's not very emotionally warm and tender. It's very straight. I'm going to tell you like it is. And Mercury is very, analytical, and yeah, Saturn is again negative, so it's a malefic planet. So we can resolve those feelings of separation. If you feel those feelings, then you can come together, because I'm sure that you don't want to feel separated in your relationships. And this becomes a very important issue at this time. Now, authority figures and issues involving authority figures, if there's any conflicts with authority figures, or any power struggles. But something that I was reading about this is that you can actually have authority figures to help you with business. I probably read about this. I don't remember, but there's something about letting authority figures give you the advice and the wisdom and the knowledge and the expertise to for you to take action and grow in your own life. So this can be a major theme coming up with this. So that's that particular aspect. But then the other big thing that I want to talk about in this video is Saturn's retrograde in Pisces. This is from June 17th through November 4th of 2023. So, Saturn retrograde. So, when a planet goes retrograde, it basically retraces what, the area or the territory that it covers. So it goes back over that territory, revisits that territory when it enters shadow. So we're reviewing things, we're reevaluating, we're visiting. We are re-seeing things in a new light with Saturn retrogrades. It's a time to go back over things. It's not necessarily a moving forward time as it is a reviewing time. So this is reviewing Saturnian themes. Where have we not been disciplined to commit to our goals? How are we at committing to our goals? How are our long-term goals? And are the things that we are doing for ourselves working out for us? How are we using our time, our energy, our breath, and the tasks that we need to do? Are they serving us? What really works for us and what doesn't work for us? And what must we change and release during this time? So, really it comes down to what have we achieved and what have we not done? What's incomplete or, unfinished, or that we didn't take the initiative or put in enough work to accomplish. So we can look at where we held back or, procrastinated or not put the work into our goals. And this can also be a reevaluation with authority figures. And we can get very serious. Saturn's very stoic in nature, very serious. We can get very, practical and honest and real with ourselves about our goals and the things that we want to achieve in our lives and our responsibilities. So with, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, this really is a lesson around healthy boundaries, where we are setting those healthy boundaries, and we're not getting, swept away by this emotion or this current or this feeling of, vibration, or, not getting caught and drowned in the feelings, basically, where we lose our sense of being grounded in the here and now and back down to reality. So healthy boundaries in terms of not getting caught in escapism, and fantasy, and so really tending to our inner world is what this comes down to. This can also be a great time to commit to a spiritual practice, and I also have another video about this. Committing to a spiritual practice, whatever it is that nurtures you on a spiritual and soul level. Whatever brings you into a connection with the divine, is a practice that you're consistently doing, and you are committing to. And so anything that you can do for self-care that puts you into that place of feeling very nervous, that brings you peace, bliss, joy, and puts you at a place of love. This could be listening to music. This could be meditation, yoga. This could be taking a walk in the woods, whatever it is. Whatever is true, is a true self-care thing or spiritual practice for you to do. So this can also be a time where we can really reevaluate our dreams and our visions, and we can put them into actual, manifestation. We can, act on them. We can, make them a reality. And where we're not taking the action steps to make those dreams a reality, really looking at the significance, the spiritual lessons and symbols of our dreams. This could be keeping a dream journal by our bed and waking up and journaling what we dreamt about. To understand the significance of our dreams. And I believe that we can release a certain mental, emotional issue, or face a fear, or confront something, or, face it head on and, see it, and then, resolve it, and then see it in a new light when we wake up, when we have a dream. And so, where have we not used our intuition? And where do we need to work out our intuition, our inner knowing, knowing what is right for us to do, what actions must we take, what relationships must we initiate, what relationships must we leave that are unhealthy for us. It could be going to a certain part of town and then feeling that inner voice that's telling you don't go there. And it bypasses the logical mind, the ego mind. It's sort of an inner voice that it's about listening to it, trusting it, following it, and believing in ourselves that the answers truly lie inside of us. That's a huge part of what the Saturn and Pisces transit is all about. So, so this could also be accepting yourself as you are, surrender to what you cannot change, the whole serenity prayer thing, self-acceptance, self-love, being at peace with yourself, being very compassionate and loving yourself. What are the things that you would do if you truly love yourself, and get out of being very hard on yourself and judging yourself? Because that's another thing with Saturn is there's a pressure where you're not good enough. You have to work, feeling like you have to work harder and harder. No. This is not a time to, overwork yourself with Saturn retrograde in Pisces. It is so interesting that Pisces is really formless, very boundless. It doesn't have a structure, and Saturn wants to create a form. It wants solidity. It wants structure. It wants results. And bringing things down to earth. That's what Saturn is all about. The realist planet. And I don't mean that in terms of adjective. Is the one who says face the reality. So another aspect of this is getting caught in victimization and loneliness, where it can feel victimized and loss of hope, especially dealing with depression, anxiety, feeling blue, feeling down in the dumps, where to the point where our senses are numbed. Our sense of taste is numbed, our sight is numbed, etc. Where we're in a mental funk, and we are, in that place, and we feel very down and blue and hopeless and caught in negativity, miserable, and many other negative emotions. So feeling lonely, like we cannot be saved, that we can't help ourselves, that we can't care for ourselves and improve our lives. That's the negative shadow quality of that, is the loneliness. And so Pisces is that mutable water sign that is about oneness, compassion, and empathy. That's something also, reviewing how compassionate and empathetic we are to other people. So it's a time to really feel our feelings, to integrate what we're feeling, and to sit with it, to sit in the silence. And it's also where, looking at our illusion and delusion, getting caught in that, or confusion, getting caught up in that. We need to be, very careful. Who are we trusting? Who has the God complex? Who claims that they know all? And who isn't, really right for us? And, really telling us how to be. Really just, claiming, again, that they have all the answers. So, I also think scamming, and, fake accounts, or, filters on Instagram or things like that, where you're caught up in an illusion where it is taking away from you seeing it as it is. So being very careful and discerning around that is important. And being really confused about what is reality and what isn't. What is the practical reality of what is going on, and what is fantasy fiction, the invisible, versus the material, and not finding difficulty with separating those two. So those are some of the thoughts that I have about the Mercury and Mercury square Saturn, and Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This is a video that I am making about it, and I did a live stream today, and after that live stream, I was really feeling drained. I was feeling very drained. I felt like I exhausted every last bit of information. And I didn't want to do that. And I want to give you detailed information and, in-depth information about astrology. But I don't want to give you too much and give away and exhaust every last, detail about the finite amount of information that there is about this transit, this, full moon, if it is occurring at the current time. You know, if, and, it's not just general astrology, it's not a planet and a sign in your natal chart. For those videos, I'm going to give as much information as I can and put, a lot of depth and detail into those videos. But I want to, not give so much information for an event that will be there and go away and not apply in the future. So, and then plus feeling lack of interest and, feeling, people, astrologers who have a bigger following than I do, speak about these astrological events in less depth than I do, which I found really interesting. And, so I really felt like I was going on and on and on in that live stream that I did today. And I just felt really guilty. And I wish that I simplified it more and, less is more, as they say. So, yeah. This is really going to be, sort of, what I'm going to do is, you can find the weekly horoscope for the week of June 18th through 24th, 2023. You can find that video on my channel to watch. And so that is up there for you to watch. All right, bye everyone.